Many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Perspectives Corner. I am your host, Rhona Bennett. Hey, I got to take my jacket off and get comfortable. Hey. It is such a pleasure to have everybody back in the studio with me this week, including my guy, Shaquem Williams.
Yeah, what's up? I'm going to give myself a clap. Come on, y'all.
You never not give yourself a clap, but you deserve it.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
And you're looking quite lovely today, Miss R&B.
Thank you, sir.
Oh my God. What that name totally fits you too. Totally.
Well, R. Rhona and Bennett B, I guess so, huh?
That's true.
So, okay, a couple weeks ago, we did a show on the success principles, and we were highlighting information from Jack Canfield. He is the author of the best-selling books, Chicken Soup for the Soul, and so many other things that he's been able to accomplish. He was also a part of the runaway hit DVD or movie, The Secret, and he is sharing with us some of the things that he feels makes a champion, basically. We wanted to cover more ground the first time around, but we couldn't even get past the first principle. Taking responsibility for yourself. There was so much ground to cover with just that one principle, because that is so huge when it comes to accomplishing your dreams and doing what you need to do for yourself and owning up to the decisions that you made or the decisions that you haven't made that have gotten you to right where you are today. Taking responsibility for yourself is big. So today we're going to introduce you to a couple more principles, especially depending on how Shaquem and I flow, because we can get our choppy chop on.
There's nothing wrong with getting a little chop on. Hello, listeners of the world out there is listening. When they come here and listen to Perspectives Corner, they get a real perspective, and then they can add, when they start calling in, start adding their perspective. But they really get I really get something here every Thursday.
Yay.
At 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time.
Yes.
Here on Perspectives Corner with Ro Bennett, Miss R&B. I get a lot of information, and I get charged up to come here all the time, and thank you.
Yeah, I love having you a part of the show. I just put up a clip of us from the last Success Principle show, and we were cracking up. I always have such a good time with Shaquem in the studio.
You're fun.
So today, we're going to attempt to cover more ground. These principles are a little shorter, so we probably will be successful with that. The second principle is be clear why you're here. That's big. And then the third principle is decide what you want. And that's really huge, because a lot of the times we don't get very clear about what our purpose is. That definitely can slow you down, because you don't quite know what you want and why you want it. And then, deciding what you want, you have to be very, very clear where you're going. And that's the motivation behind the 100 Days of Action Challenge. Getting very clear about what you want, writing those goals down, saying your strong reasons for why you want it, and then charting out some action steps and putting deadlines on them, giving yourself a date and a time. It's got to get done by this time. I mean, that really gets you to focus in on exactly what you need to do and what you want to do so that you can get to your target. Because a lot of times we're too lackadaisical about what we want, and that's why we don't quite get where we want to go, you know? Okay, so Shakim, what kind of music do you have on deck to inspire the people?
Inspiration?
Yeah.
Well.
He's like, I'm searching.
Well, no, I got a couple.
What you got?
Well, I was thinking, I was listening to some of my favorite stuff right here. Let me just go ahead and pull up something. I think it might be.
Hey, this is my mom's favorite band. The Gas
You have a beautiful mom.
Thank you. I'm going to tell my mama you said that.
And she looks cute, too. I see where you get it from.
Hey, y'all, you've been listening to Perspectives Corner with Rhona Bennett. Come back to hear more success principles that are going to propel you towards the life that you always wanted to live. Stay tuned.
Choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
It's pumpkin had it for me. Up there, dumped it, sat on the wall. Up there, jumped it, had a great ball. I think he cracked on the wax. This funk. Because you don't believe that I wanna dance. Don't mean that I don't wanna dance. I'm on something. Now listen. Because you don't believe that I wanna dance. Don't mean that I don't wanna dance. I don't believe that. Because you don't believe that I wanna dance. You're making a believe out of it. I think I like it. Oh, say it loud. I think I like that groove. Can you dig it? It's lovely, it's lovely, it's lovely. I did.
Woo! Come on, man. What you know about the Gap Band? Jam it. Welcome back to Perspectives Corner with Rhona Bennett. Tonight we are talking about the success. Yes, thank you. Tonight we are talking about success principles, and we are featuring Mr. Jack Canfield. He is the successful author of the best-selling books, Chicken Soup for the Soul. And he also has done so much work over the years for motivation and inspirational purposes. And the first week that we decided to feature some of the success principles, which was about 2 weeks ago, we only got to number 1, which is taking responsibility for yourself, because Shakim and I were having so much conversation and so much ground to cover with just that one principle. It's so important. But tonight we're going to continue our journey together. And you're going to be listening to Be Clear Why You're Here first. Once we hear that, we're going to come back. Shakim and I are going to be paying attention, hopefully, tonight. Because, we can go off on our own little tangents in here while the stuff is going on. But it's always good. It's always refreshing. It's always energizing. And a lot of the times very empowering when we have our conversations in here. And then we're able to bring that back to you on air. So, before we go into this, what is the number here again? So that just in case someone wants to call in after the audio, they can do it.
323-473-3100.
Yes. 323-473-3100. So if you want to call in and you want to, give us some of your commentary about what you've heard, if there's something going on in your world that you would like to get some insight on, call me up. Let's talk about it. And if there's something that, you can relate to the principle you're about to hear that can inspire us, please give us a call. 323-473-3100. Be clear why you're here. What's your purpose? Let's listen in.
Principle number 2, be clear why you're here. I believe each of us is born with a life purpose. Identifying, acknowledging, and honoring this purpose is perhaps the most important action successful people take. They take the time to understand what they're here to do, and then they pursue that with passion and enthusiasm. What were you put on this earth to do? I discovered long ago what I was put on this earth to do. I determined my true purpose in life, my right livelihood. As a result, I discovered how to inject passion and determination into every activity I undertake, and I learned how purpose can bring an aspect of fun and fulfillment to virtually everything I do. Now I'd like to help uncover the same secret for you. You see, without a purpose in life, it's easy to get sidetracked on your life's journey. It's easy to wander and drift, accomplishing little. But with a purpose, everything in life seems to fall into place. To be on purpose means you're doing what you love to do, doing what you're good at, and accomplishing what's important to you. When you truly are on purpose, the people, resources, and opportunities you need naturally gravitate toward you. The world benefits too, because when you act in alignment with your true life purpose, all of your actions automatically serve others. My life purpose is to inspire and empower people to live their highest vision in a context of love and joy. I inspire people to live their highest vision by collecting and disseminating inspiring stories through the Chicken Soup for the Soul series and in my inspirational keynote speeches. I empower people to live their dreams by writing practical self-help books like this one, and The Power of Focus and The Aladdin Factor, by designing courses for high school students, and by conducting seminars and workshops for adults that teach powerful tools for creating one's ideal life. Once you know what your life purpose is, you can organize all of your activities around it. Everything you do should be an expression of your purpose. If an activity isn't aligned with your purpose, you wouldn't work on it. Period. Without purpose as the compass to guide you, your goals and action plans may not ultimately fulfill you. You don't want to get to the top of the ladder only to find out you had it leaning up against the wrong wall. Your inner guidance system is your joy. You were born with an inner guidance system that tells you when you're on or off purpose by the amount of joy you are experiencing. The things that bring you the greatest joy are in alignment with your purpose. To begin to home in on your purpose, take time to make a list of the times you have felt most joyful and alive. What are the common elements of those experiences? Can you figure out a way to make a living doing these things? Pat Williams is the Senior Vice President of the Orlando Magic basketball team. He's also written 36 books and is a professional speaker. When I asked him what he felt the greatest secret to success was, he replied, "Figure out what you love to do as young as you can, and then organize your life around figuring out how to make a living at it." For young Pat, it was sports, more specifically baseball. When his father took him to his first baseball game in Philadelphia, he fell in love with the game. He learned to read by reading the sports section of the New York Times. He knew he wanted to grow up and have a career in sports. He devoted almost every waking moment to it. He collected baseball cards, played sports, and wrote a sports column for the school newspaper. Pat went on to have a career in the front office of the Philadelphia Phillies baseball team, then with the Philadelphia 76ers basketball team. When the NBA considered granting an expansion team franchise to Orlando, Pat was there to lead the fight. Now in his 60s, Pat has enjoyed 40-plus years doing what he loves, and he has enjoyed every minute of it. Once you are clear about what brings you the greatest joy, you will have a major insight into your purpose. Staying on purpose. Once you have determined and written down your life purpose, read it every day, preferably in the morning. If you are artistic or strongly visual by nature, you may want to even draw or paint a symbol or picture that represents your life purpose, and then hang it somewhere, such as on the refrigerator, opposite your desk, or near your bed, where you will see it every day. This will keep you focused on your purpose. As you move forward in the next few chapters to define your vision and your goals, make sure they are aligned with and serve to fulfill your purpose. Another approach to clarifying your purpose is to set aside some time for quiet reflection, time for a period of meditation. After you become relaxed and enter into a state of deep self-love and peacefulness, ask yourself, what is my purpose for living? Or what is my unique role in the universe? Allow the answer to simply come to you. Let it be as expansive as you can imagine. The words that come need not be flowery or poetic. What is important is how inspired the words make you feel. Principle number 3.
Okay, so that was principle number 2. Be clear why you're here. I was showing my book, my mini book, Find and Pursue Your Passion, even with a regular job, on the camera during that particular principle, because in this book, I help you to discover, which one is it, Shakim, this one? The camera? Okay. In this book, I help people to discover their purpose. You know, when you're in the zone, when you're in the flow, what are those things that you're doing? And it's almost like a workbook in here. I have places where you can actually write inside of the book and pretty much document your progress throughout your read and help you discover your passion. Another thing that can be very, very helpful in discovering your passion, brainstorm. And brainstorming, you can do this in a very particular way. I learned this from one of the great motivators of our time, Earl Nightingale. He talks about sitting down for at least an hour. Sometimes that can be overwhelming for some people because we're just not used to sitting still that long. And on top of it, you're thinking, you're using your brain. You know what I mean? And a lot of times we do not use our brain that often. We're watching the TV, we're listening to radio. We always have stimuli coming in and taking our attention and stopping us from just kind of incubating, you know, being with yourself and allowing thoughts to bubble up. But we are so powerful, okay? There's so much information in your own internal human computer that if you just gave yourself an opportunity to be still with it, so much creativity can come out. And I am speaking now from experience because I took this brainstorming seriously, and I would say consistently. I did it for maybe a week or over a week. And when I looked back at all of the things that I wrote down, I was astonished. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe all of this stuff that came out of me. Now, some of the things are going to be amazing. Some are going to be not so amazing. Some are going to be middle of the line. You're going to be able to build on those thoughts later. But just getting that stuff up and out of you can be so powerful and inspiring, okay? But what you do is you sit there for an hour. If you can't do an hour, do a half hour, you know? And you get at least 20 things out on the paper, no matter what it is. Some of the ideas are going to come out and you're going to be like, I don't know if I want to write that. Write it down, you know. Usually by the time you're getting towards the end of your ideas, some interesting and great things can pop out, you know, even during the whole exercise, but definitely towards the end because you've relaxed enough to allow yourself to sit there and things can bubble up. Then you tap into that superconscious mind we were talking about a few weeks ago to give you some more ideas, you know. So try brainstorming. And what you do is you write down your question at the top of your paper. So if you're trying to figure out your purpose, you say, what is my purpose? How can I serve more in this life? You know, whatever that question needs to be that's going to give you the inspiration to think in on yourself. And just sit there Don't, give yourself a lot of pressure. If it takes a while for the first idea to pop out, don't worry about it. Just sit there. Allow yourself to do the exercise. Don't put any pressure on yourself. The goal is to get to at least 20 things out on that paper. If you sit there for an hour and you only got 15, so be it, But the goal is to get 20 things out. And if you do this consistently, I would say it will get easier because you're starting to train yourself to be still and to listen. Okay, so brainstorming can be very powerful. I think he might have even mentioned writing some things down, or that may be in the next principle. But that's one of the ways that you can discover your purpose. You can also pick up my book, and this helps you, this will help navigate you towards finding your purpose. When you're in the zone, when you're in the flow, what are those things? And from your childhood to adulthood. Because a lot of times we get programmed out of what we like and we don't know who we are because we're trying to conform and, live the life of somebody else's desires and wishes for us. And so you kind of lose track or lose sight of what you have to offer. Okay. Shakim, when did you discover your purpose? When do you think you discovered that?
That's an interesting question. It was a story behind this.
Uh-huh.
I guess I was in the 10th grade, right?
Uh-huh.
And I was in class. I had an English class, and it was like advanced English, and I didn't need to be in there in the first place. But I was in there. I don't know how I got in there. So the teacher, I remember her name. Her name was Mrs. Hoagland.
Shout out to Mrs. Hoagland.
Beautiful lady. But she, she asked a question. And it was like, a lot of honors people that was in this class. And it was like, who's going to college? And everybody raised their hand.
Mm-hmm.
I looked around and I just raised mine. Didn't even know. And everybody started laughing at me.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I was a class clown.
Okay.
I was, I was just obnoxious.
Really?
I wasn't like bad or, doing some real crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I was bored. I wasn't learning anything in school. And I thought what they were teaching, other than math and science and reading and all like that, really didn't apply. I didn't feel the purpose for me in that. So I went to my high school guidance counselor, and I was so upset, right? And I told him, well, before I went there, I went to study hall.
Uh-huh.
And one of the guys I thought who was just, messed around too, wasn't serious that I thought, he showed us this report card, right? And he had all A's and B's on there.
Okay.
Right. And he was like, I was like, how did that happen? I was thinking like, dude, I don't even see you study or nothing. But he was like, well, I had this fictitious guy on my shoulder named Johnny that was telling me to do all the wrong things. So he said, one day I just told Johnny, get off my shoulder. I want to be successful, right?
Really?
He told us this story. I was in the 10th grade. So I went to my guidance counselor after that and said, I want to go to college. My grade point average was terrible.
Okay.
Because I did just enough to get by, play sports, kept a C average, some more than sometimes it was a D. So he's like, well, you have to change your habits, right? And I really didn't understand. I understood what he was saying, but I didn't get it. Mm-hmm. But he said, you have to study harder. You have to take this more serious. You have to get your grade point average up. So I end up, one of my friends, best friends, like a brother to me, Desi Cheers out of Lorain, Ohio. He was reading a Malcolm X biography.
Oh my gosh, I really want to read that too, but go ahead.
So I end up picking it up and reading it.
Oh.
And it was so much stuff in there that I didn't know about that they don't teach, that it really blew my mind. Right. And so I was like, just my whole life after the 10th grade, I had to change my life, in essence. So I knew I had to study harder. So I started reading more. Right. Yeah. And something that I didn't do prior to that. But I started reading more, and I started reading more about what Malcolm X was talking about in his autobiography. And then which led me to the Nation of Islam. Although I was never in the Nation of Islam, I found it quite compelling, some of the things that they were talking about in respects to the black man. And, and what was it to have this so-called knowledge of self that they was talking about, and being, upright citizen, being, being responsible to your family, to your community, and most of all to yourself. So I didn't know, I had great men around me and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I want to go to college. I want to make this change. So I knew I had to do a lot of things in my life, because before that, I wasn't doing anything. So I started reading more. I always had a great family support and stuff like that. I never got pressured
To go to school.
To go to school or
Okay.
nothing.
Yeah.
So I pretty much had to put myself in school.
Yeah.
Put myself through school, right?
Awesome.
I didn't have, not to say that they would have helped, but my freshman year in college, I found out who I was.
Yeah.
And I found out that because some brothers that was at Central State University in Wilberforce, Ohio, took it upon themselves to point me in the right direction and educate me
Yeah.
in the way of what it is that, knowing more about my people, knowing more about the past.
So would you say that these things helped? What about this helped you to discover your purpose?
So in the process of learning, I believe that in order for you to know your purpose
Yes.
in life, you have to have some kind of knowledge of self. Right? You can't know your purpose without knowing who you are, So at first,
And that could take some study, some self-reflection, basically you're saying.
It takes a lot, but it's a process.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So I had to go through a process of letting go of the material aspects of it, because that's what, my whole life was based on, and going to go within. You can put, whatever tag or title or name on it. All those are just names. But when you boil it all down, it's self. It's something within you that you exude out. But first and foremost, you just learn. You just learn this thing.
So, yeah, what
What
I'm getting from you then is that, discovering your purpose, it involves all of these things that we're suggesting and talking about tonight, because
It's
it
a
may
path.
not be right. It may not be something that, you thought about for a week and all of a sudden you know your purpose.
It's a journey.
It's a journey.
Yes.
And your purpose can shift, because I know I started out as a singer. When I was a kid, I knew very early on what I wanted to do. That came
And
to
you
me
sing
naturally.
so well.
Thank you.
You little bird.
Tweet, tweet. So at I would say about 7 or 8 years old, I got real clear that I was a singer or an entertainer or something.
Yeah.
But as time has gone on, and when I hit a wall in my career later in my life as an adult woman, I'm like, what other things can I do that would bring me fulfillment?
And thinking about that, the process of it hitting you.
Yes.
And that first recollection or those thoughts.
Yeah.
The first week, the first day, the months that you start. What am I going to do?
Well, it's interesting too is I had been flirting with the idea of coaching for years. I thought I needed to go to school to get a credential, and I was looking for schools to go to, and I couldn't really quite find anything, and nothing was really pushing me to do it. I was already working, doing something else that I loved, so I wasn't in a rush. But when I hit that wall, honey, I was like, you need to find out what other ways you can live fulfilled, because at the time, the entertainment door felt so closed.
Yeah, and and it's still closed, but I think now
It's still closed.
I think what is opened up though is having that power to do self, right? Or we're more empowered now because of technology.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
If we take this as not what we don't have, but what we do have. Right, and we have a lot of tools out here for us now, like all those singers, entertainers, whatever you are, we have these tools out here. Now you have to educate yourself to use these tools, but put yourself in a position to win.
Oh, you're saying the door is closed in the sense that, you know, the way that they're doing running the industry.
The control factor, you know.
But you are empowered through these tools.
Exactly.
Especially if you learn how to use them and you apply yourself, then you can create your own path.
Your own, you know, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's pretty much what happened. I had to take some time to check in, pause for station identification, honey, and figure out where I wanted to go and what else I could do, how else I could be of service and be useful to the planet. You know, if I wasn't singing, if I wasn't acting, if I, you know, whatever. And it made me revisit the idea of coaching. And at this time I was dealing with, you know, one of the places where I wasn't going to put myself through school at the time. So it's like, well, what are you going to do? Well, you got to figure out a way to study and put yourself on board. And I ended up going to pick up some books and I taught myself. I didn't I gave myself a credential. My life experience. Okay. My life experience and the things that I picked up, and this just my willingness to apply myself to get started, just start.
Right.
At the time, I wasn't even in a position to put myself through school. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right, I'm going to do this and I'm going to apply myself and I'm going to know and believe that I can do it. And even though I don't know how things are going to unfold, I'm going to keep taking a step. And I remember when I shared this idea with this other person in the industry, they were like, you got to choose. You have to choose. You can't, you got to do one or the other. And I remember thinking like, why I got to choose? This is something else I would like to do, you know? And if I had listened to them, I never would have continued pursuing my coaching, the coaching aspect of who I am. And, you know, what else I could be useful with and how else I could be of service to people. But I decided to keep doing what I wanted. And now I found a way to fuse them. That work together where entertainment and inspiration meet. Yeah. But it was because I did not let somebody tell me I couldn't.
You know, and it's funny that you say that is that the only reason why I started doing music.
Yeah.
The only reason why I had the passion to do music because I wanted to get a message out there. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't want to do what everybody else was doing. Like, you know, I can do the love songs. I can do, you know, all of, you know, the so-called bump and grind and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get a message out there and put a whole nother frequency.
Yes.
You know, and bring that to the world of, like, you know, the passion that they had in the 60s.
You don't want to do the bump and grind?
No. I don't. I'm so not going to do it. But.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, we got jokes in here. Now, see, you know what, Shakim? I am no longer allowing you not to put a camera on you for any more shows. That is it. I have put my hand down. So, okay, all that to say, so we can get into another principle before this turns into a one principle show.
Right, it's okay.
Is that discovering yourself, discovering what you have to offer, what your purpose is on this planet. It's a journey and it can morph and it can change. And as you continue to evolve and grow and learn and acquire more knowledge, you're going to be moved in different directions. Allow yourself the freedom to do that. Soar. We are so powerful. We are so multifaceted as human beings. We are capable of many things. You don't have to be stuck in one zone. You're not stuck in one lane, honey. You can go wherever you want to go. You could be a professor right now. You can be a singer in a few years. You could be a architect later. Whatever it is, just follow, trust your gut. Follow your heart. Be willing to check in on a regular basis within yourself to find out who you are, what you have to offer at this point in your life, and go for it.
Go.
Go.
You can do it.
Shout out to Trey. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in tonight. We're going to go into the third principle. So hold off on your phone calls if you were thinking about calling in, because we're about to jump into the third principle. Let me see which one this is again. This one is decide what you want. Decide what you want.
I know what I want.
What do you want? Oh, Lord. Okay, y'all. We about to go into this principle. We'll be right back.
Decide what you want. Once you have decided why you are here, You have to decide what you want to do, be, and have. What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to experience? And what possessions do you want to acquire? In the journey from where you are to where you want to be, you have to decide where you want to be. In other words, what does success look like to you? One of the main reasons why most people don't get what they want is they haven't decided what they want. They haven't defined their desires in clear and compelling detail. Early childhood programming often gets in the way of what you want. Inside of every one of us is that tiny seed of the you that you were meant to become. Unfortunately, you may have buried this seed in response to your parents, teachers, coaches, and other adult role models as you were growing up. You started out as a baby knowing exactly what you wanted. You knew when you were hungry. You spit out the foods you didn't like and avidly devoured the ones you did. You had no trouble expressing your needs and wants. You simply cried loudly, with no inhibitions or holding back, until you got what you wanted. You had everything inside of you that you needed to get fed, changed, held, and rocked. As you got older, you crawled around and moved toward whatever held the most interest for you. You were clear about what you wanted, and you headed straight toward it with no fear. So what happened? Somewhere along the way, someone said, "Don't touch that. Stay away from there. Keep your hands off that. Eat everything on your plate whether you like it or not. You don't really feel that way. You don't really want that. You should be ashamed of yourself. Stop crying. Don't be such a baby." And as you got older, you heard, "You can't have everything you want simply because you want it. Money doesn't grow on trees. Can't you think of anybody but yourself? Stop being so selfish. Stop doing what you're doing and come do what I want you to do." After many years of these kinds of sanctions, most of us eventually lost touch with the needs of our bodies and the desires of our hearts, and somehow got stuck trying to figure out what other people wanted us to do. We learned how to act and how to be to get their approval. As a result, we now do a lot of things we don't want to do, but that please a lot of other people. We go to medical school because that is what Dad wanted for us. We get married to please our mother. We get a, quote, real job, unquote, instead of pursuing our dream career in the arts. We go straight into graduate school instead of taking a year off and backpacking through Europe. In the name of being sensible, we end up becoming numb to our own desires. It's no wonder that when we ask many teenagers what they want to do or be, they honestly answer, "I don't know." There are too many layers of shoulds and ought tos and you betters piled on top of and suffocating what they really want. So how do you reclaim yourself and your true desires? How do you get back to what you really want with no fear, shame, or inhibition? How do you reconnect with your real passion? You start on the smallest level by honoring your preferences in every situation, no matter how large or how small. Don't think of them as petty. They might be inconsequential to someone else, but they are not to you. If you are going to re-own your power and get what you really want out of life, you will have to stop saying, "I don't know," "I don't care," or "it doesn't matter to me," or the current favorite of teenagers, "whatever." When you are confronted with a choice, no matter how small or insignificant, act as if you have a preference. Ask yourself, if I did know, what would it be? If I did care, which would I prefer? If it did matter, what would I rather do? Not being clear about what you want and making other people's needs and desires more important than your own is simply a habit, and you can break it by practicing the opposite habit. Many years ago, I took a workshop with self-esteem and motivational expert Cherie Carter Scott, the author of If Life is a Game, These Are the Rules. As the 24 of us entered the training room on the first morning, we were directed to take a seat in one of the chairs facing the front of the room. There was a spiral-bound notebook on every chair. Some were blue, some were yellow, and some were red. The one on my chair was yellow. I remember thinking, I hate yellow. I wish I had a blue one. Then Cherie said something that changed my life forever. She said, if you don't like the color of the notebook you have, trade with someone else and get the one you want. You deserve to have everything in your life exactly the way you want it. Wow, what a radical concept. For 20-some years, I had not operated from that premise. I had settled, thinking I couldn't have everything I wanted. So I turned to the person on my right and said, "Would you mind trading your blue notebook for my yellow one?" She responded, "Not at all. I prefer yellow. I like the brightness of the color. It fits my mood." I now have my blue notebook. Not a huge success in the greater scheme of things, but it was the beginning of reclaiming my birthright to acknowledge my preferences and get exactly what I want in life. Up until then, I would have discounted my preference as petty and not worth acting on. I would have continued to numb out my awareness of what I really wanted. That day was a turning point for me, the beginning of allowing myself to know and act on my wants and desires in a much more powerful way. Make an I want list. One of the easiest ways to begin clarifying what you truly want is to make a list of 30 things you want to do, 30 things you want to have, and 30 things you want to be before you die. This is a great way to get the ball rolling. Another powerful technique to unearth your wants is to ask a friend to help you make an I want list. Have your friend continually ask, "What do you want?" for 10 to 15 minutes, and jot down your answers. You'll find the first wants aren't all that profound. In fact, most people usually hear themselves saying things like, "I want a Mercedes," "I want a big house on the ocean," and so on. However, by the end of the 15-minute exercise, the real you begins to speak. I want people to love me. I want to express myself. I want to make a difference. I want to feel powerful. Wants that are true expressions of your core values. Is worrying about making a living stopping you? What often stops people from expressing their true desire is they don't think they can make a living doing what they love to do. What I love to do is hang out and talk with people, you might say. Well, Oprah Winfrey makes a living hanging out and talking with people. And my friend Diane Browsey, who is an international tour guide, she also makes a living hanging out talking with people in some of the most exciting and exotic locations in the world. Tiger Woods loves to play golf. Ellen DeGeneres loves to make people laugh. My sister loves to design jewelry and hang out with teenagers. Donald Trump loves to make deals and build buildings. I love to read and share what I have learned with others in books, speeches, and workshops. It is possible to make a living doing what you love. Make a list of 20 things you love to do, and then think of ways you can make a living doing some of those things. If you love sports, you could play sports, or be a sports writer, or a photographer, or work in sports management as an agent, or in the front office of a professional team. You could be a coach, a manager, or a scout. You could be a broadcaster, a camera operator, or a team publicist. There are myriad ways to make money in any field that you love. For now, just decide what you would like to do, and in the following chapters I'll show you how to be successful and make money at it. Clarify your vision of your ideal life. The theme of this book is how to get from where you are to where you want to be. To accomplish this, you have to know two things, where you are and where you want to get to. Your vision is a detailed description of where you want to get to. It describes in detail what your destination looks like and feels like. To create a balanced and successful life, your vision needs to include the following 7 areas: work and career, finances, recreation and free time, health and fitness, relationships, personal goals, and contribution to the larger community. At this stage in the journey, it is not necessary to know exactly how you are going to get there. All that is important is that you figure out where there is. If you get clear on the what, the how will be taken care of. Your inner global positioning system. The process of getting from where you are to where you want to be is like using the navigational system with GPS, global positioning system, technology in a newer model car. For the system to work, it simply needs to know where you are and where you want to go. The navigation system figures out where you are by the use of an onboard computer that receives signals from 3 satellites and calculates your exact position. When you type in your destination, the navigational system plots a perfect course for you. All you have to do is follow the instructions. Success in life works the same way. All you have to do is decide where you want to go by clarifying your vision, lock in the destination through goal setting, affirmations, and visualization, and then start moving in the right direction. Your inner GPS system will keep unfolding your route as you continue to move forward. In other words, once you clarify and stay focused on your vision, and I'll be teaching you lots of ways to do that, the exact steps will keep appearing along the way. Once you are clear about what you want and keep your mind constantly focused on it, the how will keep showing up, sometimes just when you need it and not a moment earlier. High achievers have bigger visions. I want to encourage you not to limit your vision in any way. Let it be as big as it is. When I interviewed Dave Liniger, the CEO of RE/MAX, the country's largest real estate company, he told me, always dream big dreams. Big dreams attract big people. General Wesley Clark recently told me, it doesn't take any more energy to create a big dream than it does to create a little one. My experience is that one of the few differences between the superachievers and the rest of the world is that the superachievers simply dream bigger. John F. Kennedy dreamed of putting a man on the moon. Martin Luther King Jr. dreamed of a country free of prejudice and injustice. Bill Gates dreams of a world in which every home has a computer that is connected to the internet. Buckminster Fuller dreamed of a world where everybody had access to electrical power. These high achievers see the world from a whole different perspective, as a place where amazing things can happen, where billions of lives can be improved, where new technology can change the way we live, and where the world's resources can be leveraged for the greatest possible mutual gain. They believe anything is possible, and they believe they have an integral part in creating it. Don't let anyone talk you out of your vision. There are people who will try to talk you out of your vision. They will tell you that you're crazy and that it can't be done. There will be those who laugh at you and try to bring you down to their level. My friend Monty Roberts, the author of The Man Who Listens to Horses, calls these people dream stealers. Don't listen to them. When Monty was in high school, his teacher gave the class the assignment to write about what they wanted to do when they grew up. Monty wrote that he wanted to own his own 200-acre ranch and raise thoroughbred racehorses. His teacher gave him an F and explained that the grade reflected that he deemed his dream unrealistic. No boy who was living with his father in a camper on the back of a pickup truck would ever be able to amass enough money to buy a ranch, purchase breeding stock, and pay the necessary salaries for ranch hands. When he offered Monty the chance of rewriting his paper for a higher grade, Monty told him, "You keep the F. I'm keeping my dream." Today, Monty's 154-acre Flag Is Up Farms in Solvang, California, raises thoroughbred racehorses and trains hundreds of horse trainers in a more humane way to join up with and train rather than break horses. Share your vision for maximum impact. Share your vision with a good friend whom you can trust to be positive and supportive. You might be afraid that your friend will think your vision is too outlandish, impossible to achieve, too idealistic, unrealistic, or too materialistic, but almost all people have these thoughts when they think about sharing their vision. But the truth is, most people deep down in their hearts want the very same things you want. Everyone wants financial abundance, a comfortable home, meaningful work they enjoy, good health, time to do the things they love, nurturing relationships with their family and friends, and an opportunity to make a difference in the world. But too few of us readily admit it. You'll find that when you share your vision, some people will want to help you make it happen. Others will introduce you to friends and resources that can help you. You'll also find that each time you share your vision, it becomes clearer and feels more real and attainable. And most importantly, every time you share your vision, you strengthen your own subconscious belief that you can achieve it. Principle number 4.
Okay. Welcome back to Perspectives Corner with Rhona Bennett. We have been listening to The Success Principles narrated by Mr. Jack Canfield. He is the best-selling author of the book series Chicken Soup for the Soul. He's done so much more since then, and I highly recommend that you check out a lot of his work because, I like to study the champions, the people who are doing it, so that we can actually, get in touch with the blueprint. And you don't have to recreate the wheel. I mean, you can do that if you want, but you can follow a great model and then be creative as you go along. But you don't have to blaze a new trail in order for you to be successful. You can follow the other champions and then create things that are unique unto you along the pathway. So we're going to take a break. We've been taking in a lot of good information. That was a nice big old fat juicy chunk. And I'm going to let you marinate with it. When we come back off of the break, Shakim and I are going to be chopping it up. I want to share with you guys something else that I had a little epiphany the other day. I'm going to introduce you to another awesome teacher out there. He passed away in, I want to say 20, I can't remember, don't get me to lying, but it was recent. It was within this decade. But I was listening to one of his talks and it reminded me of something very, very important and powerful. So come back, holla at your girl, and I'll tell you what that's all about. You've been listening to Perspectives Corner with Rhona Bennett. We'll be right back.
Must be some kind of way out of here. Say the joker to the thief. There's too much confusion.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hello world, how you living? This is D. Brex, your host of the all-new rap project here on LA Talk Live. That's latalklive.com, or you can find me on iTunes Radio in the R&B section. That's the rap project every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's Wednesdays at 7 p.m. West Coast time, so don't be late. On the rap project, I will be playing the very best of rap and hip-hop that goes beyond the ordinary. So connect with me, your host, D-Brax, the rap connoisseur, on The Rap Project every Wednesday at 7, right here on latalklive.com, where we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Dawn Christie inviting you to join me every Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific, for my all-new show, The Dawn Christie Show. Join me as I discuss love, spiritual readings, your purpose, why am I born, what am I here to do. So don't forget to tune in, The Dawn Christie Show at 1 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV, reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hey guys, sick of all that top 40 music? Well, join me, Lixie the Engineer, and Mondo on our brand new show, Band with Mondo, where we support sounds from the underground every Saturday with a new artist from 3 to 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So tune in to live in-studio performances, Q&As with the artists, drunken debauchery, and much more, exclusively here on LA Talk Live. We're more than just talk.
Welcome back to Perspectives Corner with Rhona Bennett. Thank you, Shakim. Is this Jimi Hendrix? Yeah. There's something so cool about the way the sound is on this recording.
All Along the Watchtower.
Yeah?
Famous song by Jimi.
Is this
Hendrix.
live or is this recorded?
Back in those days, everything was considered, everything was kind of live.
Yeah.
Was it a live performance? No, but were they in the studio doing it
playing
live?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the sound on it. There's something I don't know what that sound is on it, but it's that old school vintage.
Yeah.
Something.
It's that thing.
It's that thing.
You're right. Go ahead.
So we've been discussing success principles tonight, and I said that if you came back off of the break, I wanted to share with you like kind of an epiphany that I had listening to a teacher named Stuart Wilde. I just got introduced to him, and I'm wondering how in the world haven't I stumbled across his work prior to this moment? I follow this channel on YouTube. I highly recommend it. It's called You Are Creators. And one of the videos that they have on there, it says, I think the title is something like the best explanation on the law of attraction, or the clearest explanation on the law of attraction. So I decided to click on it. And for whatever reason, even though I've heard, a lot of these ideas before, the way he brought it was fresh, very clear and concise, and super powerful, I thought, for the time that the video was recorded, because it seemed like it was in the early 80s when, information like this was not out in the public very rampant. It was, something you had to dig for. It was really almost like esoteric, secret, information. But he broke it down so gangster. I was like, wow, like it just brought a whole other angle to it. So I highly recommend that video and to follow the channel You Are Creators. Shout out to them. But in one of these other videos that he did, it was back in 2000. He was an older gentleman. This is after he had done years of studying and years of teaching and lecturing, and when you do this kind of work, if you really dive into the spiritual aspect of it, it can take you on some astral rides. I mean, you can have out-of-body experiences. He consciously chose to break fear barriers. So he was encountering different entities according to his, account of everything. And he used to deal with some interesting players on the planet, man. And in this particular talk, he was very different than the younger gentleman that I had listened to that was explaining the law of attraction. Both videos were very powerful, but to see his evolution as he got older and how crass he seemed to become. He had a lot of expletives in there. He was cursing a lot, but it was hilarious because he was like talking about a whole other level of freedom, breaking, different kinds of barriers out here. And he reminded me to not struggle. We'll be studying so hard. I think I mentioned this to you, Shakim. We'll be studying so hard. We'll have our heads all up in, these books and, doing the principles. And, then you just get so serious that you forget that, you can laugh, you can relax your edges. And even while you're studying and you're choosing to expand and grow, everything is not that serious. It's just not.
No. I mean, there are some very serious things that's going on in the world, but, if you don't stop, the whole expression of, if you don't stop and smell the roses.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe what that means to me is that if you don't take the time to look at the blessings that's all around us, that's within us. This person explained to me, like, for instance, imagine if we have billions of atoms in our body. Imagine different atoms, but imagine if we split those one atom, right? We've seen what happened with one atom when they dropped, the bomb on
Hiroshima
and the other place.
The atomic bomb.
Right. That was just one split of an atom. We have billions of atoms within us. And imagine if one of those split. That's the power that we have untapped. We have untapped infinite knowledge and wisdom. And every day, the blessing is that every day we can learn something. Every day
Absolutely.
of what we already know. And
Or what you think you know. Mm-hmm. Or
Well-
what we are, what's already encoded in our DNA, you're saying, in the cell. Uh-huh.
just like knowledge is like those numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
They go on forever.
Mm-hmm.
So the potential of it, it's in us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, but, you know, every day we, you know, being conscious, come into that understanding. And lastly, I would say that we're so deep, right? We're so incredible
Uh-huh.
that we thought ourselves into existence. That's the PhD level. I don't know if y'all ready to go there yet, but
See,
I'm just
as I'm telling you not to take it so seriously, what does Shakim do? Go give me the pendulum swing.
we're a beautiful
Laugh
people.
at this stuff sometimes, folks. You know what I'm saying? Seriously, don't take this stuff so seriously that you forget to enjoy yourself while you're on the journey of discovering yourself.
Yes.
You know, this smile at some of this stuff, and even the stuff that seems so serious, there's humor in that too. You know, some people aren't ready for you to discover that, or some people might be a little offended that you discovered it. But sometimes that's exactly what's necessary so that you don't get so heavy and so lost in the heaviness, so lost in the seriousness that you forget to enjoy the journey, because it's all a part of what's supposed to be here. We don't know hot if we don't know cold. We don't know love if we don't have its opposite in existence. In order for us to create what we want to experience here and associate ourselves with the things that we'd like to experience, we need the opposites. We need all of the myriad of experiences that are here so that we can know the vast vault that we can pull from to live the life that we want to live.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, we don't have to struggle. And one of the things that I'm doing right now is I'm consciously choosing for a week to take the simpler road. Even things that look complex, I'm like, okay, what's the simple in it? And I'm going that route just as an experiment, as an exercise. You know, stretch yourself sometimes, you know what I mean?
Right.
Choose to think a certain way for a certain period of time so that you can experience what that feels like and relax the edges on yourself and expand into a different way of thinking and
Right.
being. You know what I mean? Because you forget that you have choices here, and
Infinite choices.
and you can choose to react or respond or receive, you know, what's happening to you or through you in whatever way. Use it as an experiment.
I see you have a butterfly shirt on.
I do. Butterfly in flight, folks.
Interesting.
Butterfly symbolizes transformation for me and for a lot of others. Although I didn't wear it for that reason. I just like the shirt. I like the shirt, that's all. So I thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I appreciate your presence as usual. Don't forget, you can pick up my books, Got Motivation, How to Stay Motivated, here to support the champion in you. This is my very first mini book. Powerful information in there. I've taken years of study and life experience and condensed it into what I would say is catered to the now generation. And also find and pursue your passion even with a regular job. And my third mini book is on its way. It's literally in the publisher's hands. It's just up to them when they're going to release it, which should be any day now. And the digital copies will be available. That's Eating Healthier for Less. Spent a lot of time doing research on that. So lots of good information in there. And I did my best to kind of give us more options, because one of the things that I noticed that people were saying is, yeah, I want to do healthier, but it's expensive. It's all, you know, everybody thinks it's so expensive, and it is, you know, for in a lot of ways. So I wanted to go out there and service a need. People need to know how they can eat healthier for less, and that is what this book is dedicated to. It's also helping us understand our food, GMOs, what is that, and why are people so concerned about it? It's in the book. What is 30 pounds, over 30 pounds of cheese a year the average American is eating? Whoa. What can that mean to the body in the long term? A lot of things are in this book that are going to kind of give you a broader range or perspective. How about that? Perspectives Corner. About your food and your options. What new seasonings can you try? How many different kinds of salts are there? Are there healthy salts? Yes. There's like Himalayan pink salt, 84 essential minerals in there. All salt ain't bad, baby. All sugar isn't bad. It's, you know, some people are like, don't do sugar. Well, there's some decent sugars out there that you can check out. I have those listed in the book as well. Lots of information. Come visit me at RhonaBennett.com. Come visit me on my social network media websites, Twitter, Facebook. I'm out there, baby. I love to talk. holla at your girl. See me back here next week, 8 o'clock, Thursday. Perspectives Corner with Rhona Bennett. Thank you so much, Shakim, for sitting in with me as usual. I always enjoy your presence, your energy, and your information.
Thank you.
Okay, then. Bye.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.